It always comes to this. More nice shit. Hello there, guys. Here to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I think I've been talking about my left sleeve. I haven't done any more on that. Rick was sick or hungover or God knows what Monday, so we didn't end up getting into that. We were going to do most of the rest of the outline. That's probably going to be happening this Monday instead now. Not a big deal when you're going to be working on a project for probably most of a year. It's not really a big deal to miss a session, but it was a little annoying being that we just started on the sleeve and it's nowhere close, like it's not even fully outlined yet. And I find that black on black outlines don't stay visible super long. This one's pretty good. It's staying pretty clear. So that's about a week and a half in. It looks like that mostly everywhere, but it will start to soften. It won't completely go away, but we want high visibility when we're filling in areas. And if it goes too long, you will need to reline parts of that. And I don't really like the idea of going backwards from the start. So I was a little annoyed at that, but I had a session here with Terry, and I might be having another one tomorrow. We've talked about doing a project. I'll get into that in a bit here. I have a bit of tattoo brain. I had about an hour session on my hand. So we went up over the knuckles and wrapped around the thumb, the underside of the wrist there, or the top of the wrist rather. So I'll put some clips in of tattooing that. It will guaranteed need a second pass. There's absolutely no way it won't if we want it to be in any way similar to the rest of the arm. So it will be a darker red. It will not be this cherry red or like red velvet-ish color. And that is not my intention. I feel like I always have to lead with that in these because so many people will see this and they think that it's intended to be that color. No. There is a way to get that color. We have it on my chest already. I don't need to show that off. I've shown it off enough. And I've repeated myself on that point enough. If you want a bright red, use a bright red, not a dark red. This is a dark red. Even the bottle itself is dark. So this again being red velvet fusion. A lot of the color that you're seeing here is not actually in the skin. It's stuck. Like it's in the skin technically in a way, but it's not in the skin. It's stuck to the skin, or you can't clean it enough to get it off. So and some of it is in the wrong layer of skin. I can already tell because you can see the black through it. That means it's not fully saturated. It's not bad though for a first shot of red on black over knuckles. But when you get to a place with saturation where the skin is super swollen and puckering up on you, it really is better to just leave it for another day at that point rather than risking overworking the tissue. Especially this hand here. These knuckles were already so badly infected and torn up one time. It's really bad tissue to work on. So the first time we did any red on my hand, the first pass of the lower arm red out, I didn't want to go near the knuckles that day. We avoided them. Our plan then was, and we even talked about during that session, is we may do a full day just on the hand, just do an hour on the hand kind of thing. I didn't even think it would take that long. I thought maybe half an hour. But it took quite a bit of work to get the red into this, so it did end up being closer to an hour, which is fine. We decided to do it that way because hopefully there'll be less swelling overall, and when there's less swelling and less bleeding, then you'll keep more ink. But once we have the first coat established, much like the rest of my arm, going back into it is pretty easy to do, and you keep most of it. So this is all a little dry right now. I'm at the end of the day, but it's doing really, really well. We have another session coming up on this sleeve, the final session, the 10th session. The final session, as in we planned 10 for completion of the sleeve. That's coming up next week. We're going to be doing the highlights on all the roses. So probably on the hand too, but we may end up waiting on the hand depending on where this is at. But I want to go into all the high points of the roses, and so like that, for example, would be a high point. We're going to increase the contrast in there one more layer and get these as white as possible. I expect that will only take a couple hours, but there's a few spots I want to touch up while we're doing that. There's some black in some of these that could be blacker. And then there's a few spots that the red still hasn't taken as well. So like namely in here. And there's a few spots on my inner bicep as well that are pretty solid, but could be just a little bit better. Again, not to brighten anything, but just to make them more concentrated. So we'll hit all of that next week. And then this sleeve is essentially done, other than, as I said, we'll probably do another pass on the red on the hand. But that, I don't consider the hand to be necessarily a part of the sleeve project. That was kind of like an additional thing. So I don't consider it 11 sessions next week. I consider it still the 10. And the hand was just an extra. So I mentioned that I might be doing another tattoo tomorrow. And if we do that, that's why I've got my head shaved again freshly. We're going to be hitting the back of my head. I'll see if I can show it off. It's hard to see the back. But I have a rose up here that's been done many, many times. This will probably be the sixth time overall doing it. And it's had about 4 different looks already. It was just a black and gray rose on its own originally. And then we turned it into a red rose after adding some red filigree around it. Then I had it blacked out twice to try and get rid of the red because everything was going dark. And now I'm planning on doing roses similar to the ones on my neck or the ones on my arm and my face and stuff. Even like these ones. Just to kind of keep it in balance with everything else. So many people will think, like, why didn't you just do it that way the first time? It's like, you could have said that about all of my tattoos, but part of the joy of this whole thing for me is always just the change and the progress anyway. So if I had done it that way to begin with, I would have just changed it to some other thing. So the fun of what I'm doing is that I can just keep changing these things. Like potentially one day I could add color into these if I ever wanted to. I don't think that I'm going to, but it's on the table for me. Something that I've been wondering a little bit about, and I did a little bit of this on the center of my eye. We did color over top of the white. I don't know if that actually helped the colors go in easier or not. Because the areas were so small that we were going for this kind of iridescent kind of shine off of the center. So we used lots of different colors, and they're all pretty bright. I don't know if the white layer actually helped those get brighter first. So I've been talking about doing like these thorns in a different color than the roses. So it might be interesting to see how reactive those white parts are to color. Even if I just did one. I don't know that I'm going to do that, but I am very curious if the white actually would help the base as a base coat for new colors, or if it would be just more like it would muddy it down a little. Because I've heard that covering things in white, it can be harder to work over top of them just because of how thick white ink can be. But I don't know what the science is on that, and that could be just another one of those myths that are waiting to be disproven by people willing to try. That being said, I've been seeing a lot of color on black projects happening now, and I'm almost never credited for it, but I know I'm almost always the inspiration for these things. So now that the collective conscience is opening and waking up to these potentials, the nice thing is that since there are more people out there trying it, whether they're crediting me or not, because of the work I've done, I get to kind of see the results of different things vicariously through others, and I don't have to try as many things myself. I seen a full color rose that I keep getting tagged in by an artist named Anthony Fleming, and he did all kinds of colors, and he did a black backdrop. And I'm not going to get into my thoughts on that because, to be fair, and this is not a shot at that piece, I think it's a perfectly fine piece. It's fairly basic work as far as I'm concerned, and I have no question that it will work. I just think that he did some things in there that I will be able to observe heal, and I'll be able to learn that way. It's actually a good thing for me that more people are doing that work, whether I'm being credited for it or not. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm the first person who's ever got color over black, but I do think that I'm one of the first people that's been very, very open in showing it off, and showing off the healed and the in-between stages of things like this. And I think it's opening the door for a lot more of those projects in the future. So again, I don't need to be attributed the credit, but I do see it happening a lot more all of a sudden. What's annoying is the endless wave of these I want to see it healed people, when there is tons of healed work over black, and if you wanted to see it healed, you wouldn't write that stupid comment. You just search that. You just search healed color over black work. I've already done that on my own on Google, and I've seen that myself. So it's not a question mark. It's out there. If people could stop asking to see it, that would be great. Because even things like this are healed color on black. They're healed color over another thing. Like this, these roses were completely red. Then we basically blacked them out and we did white over them. This is a work of like 6 passes, but this is, even this, every part of my face is healed work over black. It's staring at you right now. I don't know why it is, but this arm was the first time a lot of people seen red on black in my work, even though I've been showing it off for years in other spots. It just seems to me like you need to show them a huge amount of one color in one spot before that flags, oh, he put red over black. It's not enough to just show a little bit for some people. They need a huge, huge amount of it. Now, I don't know why that is, but for whatever reason, that is the case. It takes a big amount of something to get someone's attention, it seems like. But this is all red on black too. So I don't know why it is that so many people didn't see it as red on black, but they see this as red on black. It's weird. Anyway, this has gone on a little longer than I expected, honestly. I'll show off my red on black hand. This is not going to heal this red. I guarantee you. It's a total crapshoot on the knuckles. I think I'm gonna be lucky to keep quite a bit of it on the knuckles, but I could surprise myself because the first time I did my hand, I did some red over top of this. It stayed better over the top of my hand and a little worse down here, but I did keep some of it. So we'll see. I've got no expectations, but it'll be nice if I can keep quite a bit of it. And if not, I don't mind doing another pass. It wasn't too bad. All right, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.